When you step into a room, your energy arrives before you speak. It is like the air before a storm, carrying a quiet but undeniable force. People sense it even if they do not understand it. This is where presence begins and where every conversation can be shaped. The question is not whether others will listen, but whether you are truly awake inside yourself enough to be heard. Every interaction with a man is an opportunity to learn, to sharpen your clarity, and to express the strength of your own heart. Many think dominance comes from loudness or from clever words. In reality, it comes from stillness inside, from breathing with awareness, from knowing who you are before the first word leaves your lips. When you stand like a mountain and your voice carries calm power, you do not need to fight for space because space opens for you. Learn to watch before you speak. Look into the eyes of the man in front of you and see beyond his words. When you observe, without rushing, you uncover the rhythm of his thinking, the spaces between his sentences, the places where his confidence hides or falters. In these spaces, you find your way to guide the conversation. To own a conversation is not to control it, but to flow with it while staying rooted in your own center. Practice breathing deeply when you listen. A steady breath clears the mind and anchors the body. This calmness radiates outward and softens tension in the other person. You become like water shaping stone, not by force but by consistency. This is how presence overcomes noise. This is how respect is gained without demanding it. Your words must be simple but true. Speak from experience, not from fear. When you speak with intention, your tone becomes steady and men feel it. They may not agree with you, but they will sense the weight of your authenticity. In this way, you never shrink and never exaggerate. You simply stand as you are and speak what you know. Do not confuse power with aggression. True strength is in restraint. True power is in knowing when to pause and let silence do the work. Silence can be a weapon, but also a bridge. In moments when others expect reaction, give them reflection instead. The one who controls their own reactions controls the whole atmosphere of the conversation. There will be times when men challenge your ideas or test your boundaries. Meet them with calm eyes and a steady breath. Ask questions rather than raise your voice. Invite them to see a broader perspective rather than defend your own endlessly. In this way, you shift the ground beneath their feet without them realizing. You transform tension into dialogue and dialogue into respect. Owning every conversation is about understanding yourself so deeply that no matter who stands before you, you do not lose balance. It is about practicing clarity and discipline until they become part of your nature. When you do this, your presence becomes the anchor. Every word you say begins to carry weight. Every pause becomes meaningful. When you enter any conversation with calm confidence rooted in self-awareness, everything about the interaction changes. Before a single word is spoken, the energy you bring sets the tone. Many people rush into conversations with men, feeling the need to impress or defend, but true influence begins from within. When you take time to center yourself, breathe deeply, and recognize your own value, you carry a quiet strength that others cannot ignore. This inner stability is not arrogance, it is self-knowledge, and it allows you to communicate with poise rather than reactiveness. Calm confidence is built long before the moment of speaking. It starts with knowing your values, understanding your experiences, and accepting your flaws. When you are honest with yourself, you do not need external validation to feel secure. In a conversation with men, this creates a noticeable difference. You stand firmly, speak steadily, and listen without fear of being overpowered. Your calmness softens tension and raises the level of respect in the room. This is why self-awareness and composure are the foundation of owning any dialogue. To carry calm confidence, your posture and body language must reflect the inner state you are cultivating. Stand or sit upright, shoulders relaxed, eyes steady, and movements deliberate. This does not mean being stiff or robotic. It means you are grounded, present, and aware. Men instinctively notice body language, often before they hear your words. When your posture is steady and open, it signals that you are in control of yourself and comfortable in your environment. This alone shifts the power dynamic and gives you a natural edge. Equally important is the tone and pace of your voice. Speaking too quickly or too loudly can signal nervousness, while speaking too softly can make your ideas disappear. Calm confidence comes through in a measured tone, strong enough to be heard, slow enough to be absorbed, and clear enough to be understood. This tone invites attention rather than demanding it, which ultimately makes your words land with greater impact. By practicing breathing and intentional pauses, you ensure your voice carries presence without needing force. Another key part of calm confidence is being fully present. Often people drift into conversations distracted or preoccupied, which makes them appear uncertain or weak. Before you begin speaking, let go of any mental noise. Focus entirely on the person in front of you. Make eye contact not as a tactic, but as a natural expression of your presence. This steady attention communicates that you value yourself and the conversation enough to give it your full focus. It also unsettles anyone who is used to having the upper hand, because your stillness disrupts their assumptions. Self-awareness also means understanding your triggers. In conversations with men, disagreements or dismissive behavior may arise. If you do not know your triggers, you may react emotionally and lose your composure. Calm confidence allows you to notice when you are being provoked and choose how to respond. Instead of matching aggression with aggression, you maintain your equilibrium. This can be disarming because it demonstrates emotional discipline, a quality often underestimated but highly respected. Confidence rooted in self-awareness also helps you use words with precision. You do not over-explain or apologize unnecessarily. You say only what is essential, and you say it with conviction. This makes your contributions memorable and signals that you are not seeking approval, but sharing insight. Men who are accustomed to dominating conversations often pause when they encounter this type of communication because it feels deliberate and balanced. In this way, your calm confidence allows you to guide the rhythm of the dialogue without overtly taking control. Finally, remember that calm confidence is a practice, not a performance. It is built over time through reflection, mindfulness, and consistent behavior. Before entering important conversations, take a moment to breathe, remind yourself of your worth, and step into the space as someone who belongs there. When you do this, the energy you carry will be felt before you ever say a word, and your influence will grow naturally. This is how you begin to own every conversation with men. Not through force or dominance, but through an unshakable inner strength that radiates outward and shapes the interaction in your favor. Listening deeply before speaking is one of the most powerful ways to own every conversation with men, because it places you in control of the rhythm and direction without needing to dominate. Most people go into conversations already planning their reply, waiting for a gap to speak, or rushing to make their point. This makes their presence scattered and their words weak. When you slow down and truly listen, you are no longer reacting on the surface, but connecting to the deeper currents beneath the words. You notice tone, pauses, body language, and even the unspoken tensions. This level of awareness immediately separates you from everyone else and allows you to respond with precision rather than noise. Listening deeply begins with attention. It is not only hearing the words, but watching the whole person. When you converse with men, observe their gestures, their breathing patterns, their shifts in posture, and their micro-expressions. These subtle signals reveal far more than the sentences they speak. By tuning into this information, you gain a richer understanding of their intentions, fears, or doubts. This makes your responses sharper and more grounded, because you are addressing the reality of the moment rather than your assumptions. A key part of listening deeply is learning to quiet your internal dialogue. Often, we are rehearsing our response while the other person is speaking, which blocks true listening. When you silence that inner voice and give your full attention, you create space for genuine connection. Men feel this immediately because they sense they are being seen and heard. This creates respect, and respect gives you leverage. In that quiet presence, you can steer the direction of the conversation without force, because you are already operating from a deeper understanding. Another benefit of deep listening is that it slows the entire interaction down to a pace you control. Instead of being pulled into someone else's energy, you anchor yourself and let them adjust to you. This is not passive. It is an active form of leadership. When you pause and let silence stretch slightly longer than expected, it unsettles the normal rhythm and draws attention to you. This gives your next words more weight and creates a sense that you are deliberate and measured, which naturally increases your authority in the exchange. Listening deeply also means asking clarifying questions instead of making assumptions. When a man expresses an opinion, rather than immediately agreeing or countering, you can ask him to elaborate. This shifts the dynamic because he is now following your lead, providing more information, and revealing more about himself. It also buys you time to choose your words carefully, which helps you maintain composure. Over time, this practice makes you appear insightful and strategic rather than reactive, which elevates your influence. Patience is a necessary part of listening. Sometimes men may test boundaries by interrupting, talking over you, or pushing their viewpoint strongly. If you are grounded in patience, you can observe this behavior without being triggered. You can choose to let them finish, pause briefly, and then respond calmly but firmly. This makes your presence harder to ignore and communicates that you will not be rushed or intimidated. In many cases, patience is what transforms a heated exchange into a constructive conversation. Deep listening also allows you to mirror language subtly. By reflecting back certain words or phrases, you show that you understand, which builds trust. It also gives you the power to guide the conversation toward your desired outcome, because people tend to respond well when they feel heard. Once trust is established, your influence grows naturally without having to push for it. This is especially effective when dealing with men who are used to dominating conversations, because they experience your listening as respect but do not realize it is also strategy. Finally, listening deeply gives you emotional intelligence. You become skilled at sensing shifts in mood and energy, which allows you to adapt your approach in real time. You can change tone, slow your pace, or pivot your message based on what you detect. This is a subtle but potent skill, because it makes your communication precise and responsive rather than generic. Men respect someone who can read a room and adjust, because it shows mastery rather than insecurity. By committing to deep listening before speaking, you anchor yourself in awareness, patience, and control. This transforms your interactions with men from ordinary exchanges into opportunities for influence and respect. It allows you to navigate even the most challenging conversations with grace and authority, creating a dynamic where your words carry weight and your presence sets the tone. This is how you steadily build the ability to own every conversation with men. Using silence as a tool to guide the flow and create impact is one of the most underrated yet powerful skills you can develop when you want to own every conversation with men. Silence is not emptiness, it is presence. It is the space where meaning gathers and energy settles. Many people rush to fill every pause because they fear discomfort or believe constant speech proves confidence. In reality, the person who can sit comfortably in silence holds the real power. When you stop seeing silence as a gap to be filled and start seeing it as a force to be shaped, you change the entire dynamic of how men respond to you. Silence builds anticipation. When you pause before answering, You create a sense of weight around your words. This makes men lean in and pay attention because the human mind naturally fills quiet moments with curiosity. That small pause before you speak signals that your response is deliberate, thoughtful, and valuable. In this way, silence becomes a form of punctuation, giving structure and rhythm to the conversation while also elevating your presence. Another way silence becomes a tool is by giving you time to observe and assess. When you do not rush to speak, you can read the person in front of you, noticing their facial expressions, tone, and body language. You see how your last comment landed. You detect hesitation or overconfidence. This information gives you an advantage because you can adjust your next move with precision. Men who are used to quick exchanges may find this pause unsettling at first, but it will soon command their respect because it shows discipline and self-control. Silence also draws attention to your nonverbal cues. While you are silent, your eye contact, posture, and facial expressions become even more pronounced. This can be a powerful moment to communicate authority without saying anything. A steady gaze, a composed posture, and a calm breath all send signals of confidence and stability. In a world where so many compete for attention through noise, your calm quietness will stand out as strength. Learning to embrace silence can also help you avoid unnecessary arguments. When men expect you to react and you instead choose stillness, you disrupt their pattern. This can diffuse tension and shift the emotional tone of the interaction. It can also reveal more about the other person, because silence often prompts them to keep talking and reveal their true intentions. In this way, silence becomes a mirror showing you the deeper layers of the conversation. Silence should also be used as a reset button. If a discussion starts moving too fast or emotions rise, a deliberate pause allows you to regain your center. This does not make you seem weak. It shows that you value clarity over speed. It also demonstrates that you do not let anyone pull you into a reactive state. By pausing and breathing before responding, you show that you are operating from a higher level of awareness, which can make even strong personalities adjust to your tempo. One of the strongest aspects of using silence is its ability to make your words carry more impact. A single clear statement framed by thoughtful pauses can feel more powerful than a long speech delivered without breaks. The space around your words gives them room to land in the listener's mind. Men are more likely to remember your points when they are not drowned in constant chatter. This is why leaders, speakers, and martial artists alike train to master timing, because timing creates presence, and presence creates influence. Silence also conveys self-respect. When you are comfortable with quiet, you show that you do not feel pressure to perform or prove yourself. This makes you appear unshakable. People sense that you are not desperate for validation or approval. Men, in particular, tend to respect someone who holds their own space without needing to fill it with words. Your composure becomes a silent statement of strength, signaling that you cannot be rushed or swayed easily. To use silence effectively, practice in small ways. In everyday conversations, insert brief pauses before answering. Let others finish fully before you start. Resist the urge to jump in. Over time, this will feel natural and will give you control of the rhythm of any interaction. By combining this with steady eye contact and calm breathing, you create an aura of authority without a single word. When you embrace silence as a tool, you become the one who shapes the flow instead of being shaped by it. You no longer fear gaps in conversation because you understand their power. Every pause you choose creates a moment for reflection, for observation, and for subtle influence. In the long run, this quiet strength becomes a signature of your presence, making your speech more impactful and your influence undeniable. This is how you develop the ability to own every conversation with men. Speaking with clarity and authenticity, rather than force or exaggeration, is at the heart of owning every conversation with men. When your words are clear and rooted in truth, they cut through noise and command respect without needing to be dressed up. Many people mistakenly believe that volume drama or complex vocabulary will make them sound powerful. In reality, it is the simplicity of an authentic message and the calmness of a steady tone that makes others stop and listen. This kind of speech arises from self-awareness and confidence, not from trying to impress or dominate. Clarity begins long before you open your mouth. It starts with being sure of what you want to say and why you are saying it. When you know your intention, you can shape your message with precision. In a conversation with men, especially in high-pressure situations, this precision matters. It prevents you from being sidetracked, manipulated, or overwhelmed. It allows you to hold your ground without aggression because you are anchored in purpose. Clear speech is like clean water. It refreshes and reveals, rather than confusing or clouding. Authenticity is the next layer. When you speak from your own experiences and values, your voice gains weight and credibility. Men can sense when words are genuine and when they are performative. Genuine speech does not try to please everyone, it expresses what is true. This does not mean being harsh or blunt without care. It means aligning your words with your inner principles. When your speech reflects who you are, it resonates more deeply, and even those who disagree with you will sense your integrity. To develop clarity and authenticity, slow down your delivery. Speak at a pace where each word can be absorbed. This allows both you and the listener to fully inhabit the moment. Rushed speech often signals nervousness or uncertainty, while a measured pace signals authority and presence. A calm, deliberate rhythm in your voice creates space for your ideas to breathe, making them stronger. It is also vital to avoid exaggeration and unnecessary dramatics. When you rely on forceful language or overstate your point, you dilute your credibility. Men are more likely to respect someone who speaks plainly and directly rather than someone who inflates every story or argument. When you express your thoughts in straightforward terms, it shows that you trust your own message and do not need to dress it up to make it impressive. This restraint is a subtle but powerful form of strength. Another aspect of clarity and authenticity is choosing words that reflect your true feelings and observations rather than borrowed phrases or rehearsed lines. Authentic speech is alive because it grows out of the present moment. It responds to what is happening right now rather than trying to force a script onto the interaction. This makes you adaptable, which is one of the most important skills for guiding a conversation. Men will find it difficult to box you in or predict you because you are responding with real-time honesty rather than playing a role. Listening and observing also strengthen clarity. By taking in the other person's words and energy first, you can tailor your response so that it is both precise and relevant. This not only shows that you are paying attention, but also that you are disciplined enough to wait until your words are fully formed. In turn, your speech lands with far more authority because it feels intentional. Your body language and tone should match your message. Authentic speech is weakened if your posture, facial expressions, or gestures contradict it. When your voice, expression, and stance are aligned, your words acquire a magnetic quality. Men often respond to this alignment with respect because it signals internal consistency and emotional intelligence. Finally, speaking with clarity and authenticity does not mean avoiding strong opinions. It means expressing them with self-control and purpose. When you know your values and express them clearly, you become a steady presence in any conversation. Men may test your ideas or push back, but they will find it difficult to unsettle someone whose words flow from conviction rather than impulse. This steadiness often shifts the power dynamic in your favor because you remain centered while others overextend. By committing to clarity and authenticity, you create an environment where your words hold weight and your presence sets the tone. This is how conversations stop feeling like battles for attention and start becoming spaces of mutual respect and influence. Over time, your ability to speak this way turns every interaction with men into an opportunity to lead, inspire, and elevate. This is how you continue to own every conversation with men. Maintaining steady body language and a grounded presence at all times is the silent foundation of owning every conversation with men. Long before a word is spoken, your posture, gestures, and eye contact reveal how secure or uncertain you are. When your body projects steadiness, people instinctively feel that you are in control of yourself, and this creates a powerful shift in how they respond to you. Men in particular tend to read nonverbal cues quickly, often more quickly than spoken words. By training your body language to be calm, open, and firm, you set the tone for respect without saying anything at all. Steady body language begins with posture. Standing or sitting upright, with shoulders relaxed and feet grounded, signals confidence and self-possession. You are not rigid or stiff, but balanced, centered, and present. This grounded posture acts like an anchor, preventing you from being swept up in someone else's emotional tide. Even in moments of disagreement or tension, maintaining this stance makes you appear unshaken and capable, which often discourages others from trying to overpower you. Breath also plays an essential role in body language. When you breathe deeply and steadily, your gestures naturally slow down, your voice steadies, and your eyes remain clear. Rapid or shallow breathing, on the other hand, can make your movements jerky and your tone unsteady. Before entering a conversation with men, take a few moments to regulate your breath. This simple act keeps your nervous system calm and gives your body a composed rhythm, which radiates outward and shapes how others perceive you. Eye contact is another crucial element of grounded presence. Looking directly at the person you are speaking with, not in an aggressive or unbroken stare, but in a steady and respectful gaze, communicates confidence and attentiveness. It shows that you are not intimidated and that you value the exchange. When you combine this with a relaxed facial expression, you create a feeling of calm authority that is hard to ignore. Men who are used to dominating conversations may adjust their tone unconsciously when met with this kind of presence. Your movements should also reflect steadiness. Sudden fidgeting, tapping, or shifting can signal nervousness. Instead, make deliberate, minimal gestures that support your words. Moving your hands slowly and intentionally while speaking reinforces your clarity and adds weight to your statements. Stillness in moments of listening makes you appear thoughtful and in control, while measured gestures in moments of speaking make you appear composed and confident. Grounded presence also involves the energy you project. People sense whether you are centered or scattered. When your energy is grounded, you occupy your space fully without shrinking or overextending. This is not about dominating physically, but about feeling rooted in your own body and identity. Such presence draws attention naturally because it conveys calm power, making men more likely to listen and less likely to interrupt. Another benefit of steady body language is that it helps regulate your emotions. Even if you feel nervous, adopting a grounded stance can trick your nervous system into calming down. This, in turn, allows you to think more clearly and respond more wisely. In a conversation with men, this ability to maintain composure under pressure can be the difference between losing influence and gaining it. It is also important to match your tone of voice to your physical steadiness. A calm, steady body paired with a clear and balanced tone creates an unbroken impression of authority. Men respond to consistency between what they see and what they hear. Any gap between your words and your posture weakens your presence. By aligning them, you become more persuasive without needing to raise your voice or argue. To develop steady body language, practice in low-stakes situations first. Notice how you stand, how you sit, how you use your hands. Practice slowing down your gestures and holding eye contact just a little longer than usual. Work on grounding yourself with breath before responding. Over time, these habits become natural, and your body language will automatically project confidence and composure even in high-pressure conversations. When you embody steady body language and grounded presence, you no longer need to force respect because it arises naturally. Men sense that you are not easily moved or provoked, and this subtly shifts the power balance. Every word you speak becomes more convincing because it is supported by the silent authority of your physical presence. This is how you steadily build the ability to own every conversation with men. Asking thoughtful questions to shift perspective and inspire respect is one of the most powerful ways to own every conversation with men, because it transforms the interaction from a simple exchange of opinions into a deeper exploration of ideas. When you ask questions with intention, you move the focus from defending your position to expanding the dialogue. This not only allows you to guide the flow, but also makes the other person feel valued and understood, which builds trust and respect. A well-placed question can be far more influential than a long explanation, because it invites reflection rather than resistance. Thoughtful questions begin with listening. You cannot ask meaningful questions if you have not fully absorbed what the other person is saying. By paying attention to his words, tone, and body language, you can craft a question that speaks directly to his assumptions or reveals a hidden layer of the topic. This shows that you are engaged and alert, and it often catches the other person off guard in a good way. Men who are used to dominating conversations may find themselves pausing to consider their answer, which shifts the power dynamic in your favor. When you frame your questions, avoid making them sound like accusations or traps. Instead, use them to invite exploration. Ask how, why, or what instead of only asking yes or no questions. This encourages deeper responses and creates an opening for you to guide the discussion. For example, instead of challenging a statement directly, you might ask, "What led you to that conclusion?" Or, "How do you see this affecting the bigger picture?" Questions like these prompt men to reveal their reasoning and give you valuable insight into their thinking. Another advantage of asking thoughtful questions is that it slows down the pace of the conversation. When you introduce a question, it creates a natural pause as the other person thinks. This gives you time to observe, breathe, and decide your next move. It also places you in the position of the one steering the dialogue because you are shaping where the attention goes. Over time, this approach can make your presence in conversations feel calm, strategic, and authoritative. Questions also demonstrate humility and curiosity, which paradoxically strengthens your influence. Instead of appearing as though you are trying to win or dominate, you show that you value understanding over ego. Men respond well to this because it feels less like a contest and more like a collaboration. Yet beneath this collaboration, you are still directing the conversation with your questions, choosing what topics deepen and which ones fade. This subtle leadership often earns you greater respect than direct confrontation ever could. Thoughtful questioning can also reveal common ground. When you invite men to share more about their perspective, you often discover shared values or goals that were hidden beneath initial disagreements. Highlighting these points of connection allows you to build rapport while still holding your own views. This creates a balanced exchange where you are both respected as equals, and in many cases it opens the door for them to be more receptive to your ideas. To make your questions more effective, use a calm tone and steady body language. Avoid rushing or sounding impatient. Allow silence after your question to give the other person space to think and respond. This not only shows confidence, but also demonstrates that you are genuinely interested in their answer. The more they feel heard, the more likely they are to mirror your respect and openness. It is also important to follow up thoughtfully. If a man shares something revealing, you can use a second question to go deeper or to clarify. This shows that you are truly engaged and not just asking questions for the sake of control. It also creates a rhythm of dialogue where both sides feel involved, but you are still guiding the direction. Over time, this skill turns even challenging interactions into constructive conversations where your influence steadily grows. The art of asking thoughtful questions requires patience and self-awareness, but once mastered, it becomes a quiet form of power. Instead of competing for attention, you shape it. Instead of battling for control, you invite collaboration while leading from within. Every question you ask can uncover insight, shift perspective, and build respect. This is how you continue to strengthen your ability to own every conversation with men. Focusing on growth and mutual understanding instead of winning arguments is the deepest mark of someone who truly owns every conversation with men. When you enter an interaction with the sole aim of proving yourself right or emerging victorious, you lose the subtle power of influence. But when you approach the exchange as an opportunity to expand your perspective, strengthen your skills, and create connection, you automatically shift the atmosphere. The conversation becomes less about competition and more about discovery, which draws people in and earns you long-term respect. This mindset is not weakness but wisdom, because it transforms tension into progress and leaves both sides better than before. When you prioritize growth, you see every conversation as a practice ground. Each interaction teaches you something about yourself, your patience, your listening skills, your triggers, and your ability to stay composed. This awareness builds inner strength and self-mastery, which men can sense immediately. Instead of feeling defensive, you are curious. Instead of being pulled into conflict, you remain steady and responsive. This steadiness makes your presence magnetic and your words more credible, because they emerge from a place of calm intention rather than emotional reactivity. Mutual understanding begins with respect for the other person's perspective, even when you disagree. This does not mean you abandon your own beliefs. It means you are willing to listen fully and acknowledge their humanity. When you show that you are open to understanding, men relax their guard and become more receptive. This creates a flow where ideas can be exchanged honestly and where you can subtly guide the direction without confrontation. Often, this openness leads to deeper influence because people are more likely to accept your viewpoint when they feel you have accepted theirs. Another aspect of focusing on growth over winning is patience. Arguments escalate when both parties rush to defend themselves. But when you slow down and breathe, you break that cycle. Pausing before you respond, asking a clarifying question, or simply acknowledging what was said shows that you value the dialogue more than the point scoring. This pause gives you power because it allows you to respond strategically instead of impulsively. Over time, men learn to see you as someone who cannot be provoked easily, which elevates your authority in every exchange. Choosing growth also allows you to recognize patterns and refine your approach. Every conversation you have with men, whether it goes smoothly or not, gives you insight into communication styles, hidden motivations, and emotional dynamics. By treating each exchange as a learning opportunity, you sharpen your intuition and become skilled at adjusting your approach in real time. This adaptability is far more powerful than a rigid need to win, because it makes you effective in diverse situations. Another benefit of this mindset is that it turns potential adversaries into allies. When you focus on mutual understanding, even men who initially resist your ideas may become curious about your perspective because they sense you are not trying to defeat them. You lower their defensiveness and invite cooperation. This builds relationships, and relationships are the true foundation of influence. Winning a single argument may feel satisfying in the moment, but building a reputation for fairness, insight, and respect yields far greater power in the long run. To embody this approach, practice responding to disagreement with curiosity. Instead of immediately countering, try phrases like, "That's interesting, tell me more." Or, "I see how you feel that way. Let's explore it further." This does not mean you agree, but it signals that you are open to dialogue. This signal disarms tension and allows you to weave your points in more effectively later. By doing this consistently, you demonstrate maturity and mastery over your own ego, which inspires respect even from strong personalities. Focusing on growth and mutual understanding also helps you hold your boundaries with grace. You can firmly state your position without aggression, because your goal is not to overpower, but to communicate clearly. Men respond positively to this blend of strength and openness because it reflects self-control. Over time, your reputation becomes that of someone who is both unshakable and fair, a combination that makes your presence highly influential. When you make growth and mutual understanding your priority, you turn every interaction into a training ground for patience, clarity, and authentic expression. You are no longer trapped in the cycle of proving yourself, because your confidence comes from within. This shift in mindset allows you to speak with calm authority, to listen with true focus, and to leave every conversation stronger than when you entered it. This is how you truly own every conversation with men. Owning every conversation with men is not about force, volume, or dominance. It is about presence, clarity, patience, and authenticity. It is about listening deeply, speaking with intention, using silence as a tool, and maintaining grounded body language. It is about asking thoughtful questions, focusing on growth, and building mutual understanding. When you cultivate these skills, every interaction becomes an opportunity to lead, inspire, and leave a lasting impression. Your words carry weight, your presence commands respect, and your influence grows naturally with every conversation. Remember, mastery takes practice. Each conversation is a chance to refine your awareness, strengthen your confidence, and express your true self. Step into every interaction with calm certainty and the intention to grow, and you will find that others naturally respond to your energy. Good luck on this journey of becoming not only a communicator, but a presence that commands respect and inspires connection. Thank you for listening, and may every conversation you have be a reflection of your strength, clarity, and authenticity.